the first question I have, Mia, as a middle school math teacher, what have you noticed in that middle school classroom about the language skills and how they impact a student's ability to grasp the concepts that you're teaching?
I think overall is where the vocabulary comes into play. There's so many words that start to be incorporated in 6th and 7th grade. And once you get into Algebra 1, you have to know what those words mean. But those words, that vocabulary is also integrated into their English classes, and it's in their science classes. And so they might have one meaning to it in English or in science, but then when they come to my classroom, it means something completely different. And so they're having to navigate what all those terms mean, not only in the classroom, but also when they go outside, right? Those words that we use in the classrooms mean something different in the real world. When we go out and we're talking about driving a car, going to a bank, or just shopping online, all of those things. It's just the knowledge and the understanding of what do these words mean in this moment in this classroom.
Right. Because when I think of math, I've primarily worked in elementary school. I have worked in a high school, but when I think of math, I think of manipulating numbers. So at what point in a child's education does that math kind of make that switch from manipulating numbers and being more numerical based to a more language based? What grade and what age does that happen?
Usually starts in 6th grade, with the biggest standard being mean, median, mode, range. That's when those vocabulary terms are introduced. And then you get into 7th grade and you're talking about percents and deviation. And then you get into 8th grade and you're talking about translating an image or the Pythagorean theorem or the length and the sides and that kind of terms. And then you get into algebra and you're talking about graphs and quadratics and...
Wow. Big words, big math words. And, the first time that you and I had this conversation, Mia, I remember telling you, and I've been a speech pathologist for 25 years, and I don't think a math teacher has ever come to me and said, hey, Michelle, when you're in speech with these kids, I know you said 6th grade, but maybe probably even late 5th grade, that vocabulary starts to really be a big part of what they're doing in math. But I've never had a math teacher come to me. So as speech pathologists, when we talk about language delays, and this is what I was explaining to Mia, it's like you said earlier, it's typically around that English, and it's, verbs and adjectives and, the subjects and the, being able to know the main idea, making inferences, drawing conclusions. That's what we think about. And yes, language does impact that. So a child that has a language delay, it's going to impact their ability to do those things, reading it, the reading comprehension, and using that text. But I've never in my 25-year career thought, how is it impacting math? Because like you said, those words can sometimes mean different things. And I think one of the words we talked about, we'll talk about that in a minute, was translation, right? So that was a big one. And I think that was the primary focus of our 45-minute conversation the night that we first started talking about that.